Tasties. Welcome back to another episode of your favorite podcast. Okay, but wait! I'm your host, Honor Turner. As always, nothing new. Nobody's taking the spot. And today, I have a lovely guest with me.
Hi everyone, my name is Lucas. I am lovely to be on here. I think my presence has been long awaited, but I am happy to be here. Yeah.
Good things always come with the wait.
Right.
Patience is key.
Patience, virtue.
And that's what he had us doing.
Right.
And you know what? I'm so excited because I'm very excited about the topic, and I feel like this is like,
Right.
you know.
Right. I think this topic that we're about to talk about, guys, is definitely important in a sense that our community, more specifically the gay community, is something that should be aware of.
Yeah.
And I think our perspectives too and our experiences along with, the topic that we're talking about would be something to definitely tune into. So can't wait to discuss and chat it up and see where these conversations are headed.
Period. And since we're on the topic of the podcast, do you want to kind of briefly introduce it?
Yeah. So today we are talking about sexual health and how it, pertains to our certain community. Now, that involves sexual health knowledge, preventative practices, society's view, and the gay community's view on sexual health, and everything that comes to sexual health. I think this topic is most special to me because I am a healthcare worker and I work in the field of sexual health and sexual health prevention. So I guess you could say I'm pretty passionate about this topic. So
I'm like such a roundabout because the very first episode I think we released was like sexual health and foreskin, but now we have like we have someone who can actually discuss this with us.
Okay, right.
You'll talk shit, keep talking shit if you want to.
Hear me out, right.
So I'm so excited to get into it. Let's roll in this intro. Let's talk about it because I think sexual health is like so important. First, I want to ask, when do you think because I know you typically when you go to your is it called seminars, when you go to the colleges and everything.
Yeah, seminars, conventions, community expos. Yeah.
Do you feel like it should be something that should be talked about at a younger age?
Yeah, I think so. I think, unfortunately there's so many laws that surround talking to minors about sexual health.
Oh!
But, that's when you start.
It is.
That's when you start experimenting. That's when you, start... Girl, right, that shit is low-key a little strong. But, anyways. But yeah, I think, teenagers, that's when you start. So I feel like, giving that education and that knowledge ahead of time, that will prevent them and avoid them from running into those, situations where they become positive with something or they catch something.
Or even pregnant.
Or even pregnant.
Because that, as someone who, I'm very open with when I started having sex, I started having sex at a very young age, but that is due to other circumstances that caused me to be a little bit more promiscuous as
For sure.
Yeah. But I started at a young age, and it was normalized for me.
Okay.
But for most people, it's 14, 15, freshman year realistically,
Right.
and that's just depending on the school you went to.
Yeah. I think nowadays, to add on to that, I think nowadays the porn industry and explicit videos are broadcasted everywhere, and anyone can get into touch with that. Teenagers are scrolling through social media mindlessly, and obviously they run into that, right? So everyone, especially our generation, these younger generations, they are being exposed to sex and porn at such an early age, right?
Especially if you have Netflix, girl, Netflix and
no, because
Don't
Andre be watching
stop.
these. Andre be watching these
Woo!
sexual ass
Girl,
shows.
Netflix, I'm telling you, I don't know who their writers are, but give them motherfuckers a raise because they're constantly giving me one. But like, that's on Netflix, and that's not even like a porn site. So just imagine, and please, like, if anybody's listening to this, please don't make me touch the bandit because I really do like thrive off of that. But we didn't have that growing up. Like, we literally just had like a little glimpse of social media.
Right.
You know, back in our day, it was like they're about to start kissing, then it fades to black.
Yeah.
But here it's like, girl, they're missionary. Like they are in positions.
I remember when I was younger, I was like 7 or 8. I went to my friend's house and his older brother had CDs of porn, and he would put it up and we'd watch it. And you know, we were at an age where we know what was happening, but we didn't fully conceptualize what it was. And so CDs and watching that shit is crazy.
And like
too young.
No, too young. Like I was definitely exposed to it too young, and that's like heterosexual. So just imagine homosexual,
right?
And the fact of like, it's very predatory. I will say that
it's normalized, 100%.
Very normalized, and there's not enough sexual help. Like, one, there's not enough sexual help talked about for just in a whole in that age group. But then you take the queer kids that are also trying to figure out, like, am I queer? Am I this? Am I, you know, what am I?
Right.
And then pretty much trying to navigate that. So like, there's nothing like, you know, you have just around the corner. Right. I don't know if y'all watched that.
No.
The puberty video in 5th grade. Just around the
corner. I definitely watched the puberty video in 5th grade, but I don't remember it being
just around the corner. Yeah, that's what it was called. And like they talk about sex, and then I think in like 8th grade or whatever, you it's like they show you like the sex and like STDs and whatnot. You take your sexual health class, but there was nothing for the LGBTQ kids.
It's circled around heterosexuality, and that is such a norm, obviously, right? But I think, you know, starting it with like homosexual, like sexual knowledge is so important. So important.
So since we have you, tell us a little bit. So tell us a little bit about like, and I don't know if you can even tell us because like HIPAA and whatnot, but
I was like, wait, what are we?
I'm like, tell us about your patients. No.
Right.
What is your like day to day, or not even your day to day, but like what does that kind of look like, and how does that kind of play a role? So let's first get into what does that look like.
So I'll start from what my background is. So I am a HIV prevention specialist with a nonprofit. I test people for HIV, hepatitis C, chlamydia, gonorrhea, and syphilis. I do a little bit of medication adherence. I am also an EIS, so that's early intervention services. So people that are newly diagnosed with HIV, I am that linkage to care. So I'm the one that makes that and initiates that direct contact from them coming into our systems and referring them out to other systems so they get all around care. But a day-to-day for me, every day is a little bit different. Every day is a little bit different, but when I'm testing individuals in the clinic testing, I take them in, you know, I assess them, I kind of talk about their sexual history, I assess them, I test them, so I give finger pricks for HIV and hepatitis C. I take them to the restroom. I don't do the samples because I don't get paid enough for that. And I don't do it for them, but they do it in the restroom, where they provide a urine sample and like site-specific swabs. So that can range from oral swabs, anal swabs, or vaginal swabs, and that's just dependent on what type of sex and where they're having sex. And I process their sample, send it off to the lab, and normally their results come in about 2 or 3 days.
Which is very good at it. I have experience, so I was like, okay, this is a professional.
Yeah. He's a client, right? And then other days, my focus in particular, I am a PrEP navigator, so I direct and, you know, recommend people that are, you know, meeting that criteria for PrEP.
Which, for those that don't know what PrEP is,
So PrEP stands for pre-exposure prophylaxis. It's a pill you take once every day at the same time, and if taken as prescribed, it's 99% effective against HIV. So, if you have multiple sexual partners and you're not really good about your condom usage, or if you're especially a bottom, because bottoms are more prone into getting HIV because if they do not use condoms, the the anal area, it's I don't know how to describe it. It's easier transmission because of how thin the lining is. So yeah, but yeah, PrEP is that. It's a pill you take once every day. It's pretty common within the gay community.
So let me ask you this, and I don't even know, we might have to cut this out because I don't even know if you'll have to answer this, and it's a very dumb question.
What's up?
To get HIV, you have to be exposed to it, correct?
Correct. So it can range in a few ways. So it can be transmitted through blood, semen, vaginal fluids, anal fluids, or if you're a mom expecting a baby, it could be transmitted through breast milk, which is also known as like a perinatal diagnosis, and they could have HIV from birth. But yeah, so someone that is positive with HIV, you have to get it from that person, right? Those people we have a thing called undetectable equals untransmittable, U equals U. So that means someone that is living with HIV and is taking their medications on a daily regimen, they can slim their viral load to a lower level to where they don't transmit it to anyone else. Okay. So they have HIV, they're positive with HIV, but they're undetectable, so they won't transmit it to anyone else.
But they have to be taking that.
But they have to be taking the pill every day.
So is it the same thing kind of with PrEP where, like, if you miss it, it like lowers that?
Yeah, correct. If you miss it each day, your percentage slims down by 10%. So, like I said earlier, 99% effective. You miss the next day, that goes to 89. Okay. You miss the next day, 79, so on and so forth.
So just for PrEP, because I'm like asking for personal reasons.
Right.
So say 3 months ago I missed a day.
3 months ago you missed a day, okay.
Does that percentage still stay that low?
Even if we miss one day?
Yeah.
I think it stays at 89, but once you go back into taking it every day, it goes back to the 99%. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
But we always say, like, if you miss a dose, don't double dose that day. Yeah. Don't, catch up. Just miss that dose the next day. Get back on.
Yeah, somebody was like, yeah, you can double dose. I was like, baby, I need to get going. No, because the way I have an alarm for mine, like 2:40 p.m. Yeah, no, 2:40 p.m. I keep one in my car, I keep one in my bag, I keep one in my other bag, I keep one in here. Like
You're so good.
Girl.
I need to impart that knowledge to the clients that come in and ask about PrEP because they're like, oh, when do I take it? I normally advise people that when they are first initially starting PrEP, to take it at night so they can sleep through the symptoms. Or side effects, not symptoms, but like side effects. Oh, you didn't have any side effects?
Yeah.
Because people say they have like loss of appetite, they have like dry mouth, they have nausea, stomach pains, but
yeah, I didn't have.
You're on lucky end.
Yeah, I guess I was. So they were like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Girl, I'm good. I'm ready for a drink, but I can't."
Yeah. Right. But yeah, PrEP is a really good tool if you fit that criteria.
Even if I think so for me, because when I originally got on PrEP, I've been on PrEP for about actually a year, over a year.
Cool.
I got on it because I was like, okay, yes, we know. I'm fucking. Not as much anymore, but back then, and then I actually was on a little hiatus around that time, and I was like, okay, what happens if I get raped? And so for me, it was more of I was scared of if I were to get raped, I don't have that protection, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. It is scary. Situations like that are scary, and I honestly, as sad as it sounds, I hear those stories more often. That brings me to another point I do want to make. There is a pill called NPEP,
which I've heard of.
Which, in a situation like that, let's say you're exposed to someone that does have HIV, you don't know if they're undetectable or anything about it. You have 72 hours from that exposure to take the pill called NPEP, and that prevents HIV from getting into your system. However, you do have those 72 hours, and you need to be seen in those 72 hours to initiate the medication.
So it's kind of like a plan B for HIV.
I like to say like a gay plan B.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Even a straight can be, because I mean, I can't.
There you go.
I
There
can't
you go.
disclose this stuff, but I've heard some stories. I'm like,
100%. HIV is not only around the homos.
It
it
is
exists
not.
in hetero spaces, everyone.
Yeah.
Still. Yes.
So be careful. I'm one for condoms. Like,
okay.
While I don't use them all the time,
Right.
I'm definitely like,
Mhm.
wrap it up.
Mhm.
Especially if you're straight. If you can't pay the billy, wrap up your willy.
Wrap it up before you fucking tap it up, bitch. Ooh. There you go.
Damn, I'm gonna add that one to my little repertoire.
Repertoire.
Okay. Here. We're gonna take a quick break. I have a few more questions as well. Make sure to fill those wine glasses up, and if you are not already subscribed to this podcast, I don't know what you're doing. You made it this far. Don't be a loser. Be a Tastie. And we are back.
Welcome back, everyone.
Hopefully, we got some new subscribers. Don't be like that. Don't be rude. Don't be putting in this hard work with
Click that button
no, literally.
and subscribe to him.
Subscribe.
He does hard work.
Hard work. And I have to suck some dick to get this motherfucker on here.
And see, that's a lot.
It is.
That's a lot of work.
It is.
So,
Do I have an STD?
okay,
Or
but
an
wait.
STI?
Does he have an STI? That's the real motherfucking question. Nah.
Go get tested by someone. No.
Ah!
But I'm so happy that y'all are back. Happy that y'all stuck around or whatever, I guess. No, I'm kidding. I'm so happy that y'all are. So let's dive back into it. In case you're new. No. So let's talk about since you're constantly testing people and seeing results and everything, how does that play into your life as a sexual being? Or as a,
Yeah, honestly, it's kind of sad because I see myself in some of the people that come in the clinic. I'm like, oh shit, you do what I do, you're young, you're trying to live life, you're starting life, but you're positive with either HIV or even just a STI that could be treated, but it does carry some emotional weight working in this field just because we have to give those positive diagnoses to people and my body gets hot, I have to think about ways to navigate the conversation effectively. I can't, when you run that test and you stick it in the syrup or the liquid, you have to wait 15 minutes before you give an actual diagnosis because it does take 15 minutes for the test to process, but it is emotionally heavy. I think it's really sometimes hard to separate my personal life.
Or when you say the test, are you referring to the
HIV test,
Okay.
the rapid HIV test, yeah. But yeah, it's just emotionally grueling, and I think, I'm still trying to learn and navigate how to give a diagnosis, but it's really just, experiencing it and because everyone is different how they react, I've had some people that, take it and just are quiet and they accept it, and I've had others that literally almost pass out on me. So it's I see all sorts of reactions, and
I think I'd be the quiet person.
the quiet person, yeah.
There's actually a story about that, but I'm not you can
Oh yeah. Oh, I was just gonna say, I'm on the clock and I'm working a job in that moment, but at the same time, it's two human beings sharing a very vulnerable moment with each other. So it's really hard kind of to separate that from personal to work, and knowing that you're still on a clock and you're still getting paid doing that. But yeah, it's pretty heavy. I do have to say it is pretty heavy, and I think it's intimidating. It's still intimidating. For sure.
So what you're saying, when you are having, I guess, sexual interactions, does that kind of play a role into it, in the back of your head?
100%. I think because I'm being fed all this knowledge and all this, just anything that surrounds the sexual health field and the HIV field, I'm being constantly fed that into my head that it kind of abstains me from being sexually liberated in a way. I think when I was a little bit younger, 18 and 19, I definitely was in a hoe era. I was sexually liberated, and I was oh wow, I'm feeling myself. I was in a college town, I was in Denton, I was enjoying that. But now looking back, I'm damn, I was a little bit messy. I didn't really get tested as often as I should have. But now I think now that I'm a little bit older and I'm working in the field, I definitely have limits now, just because of the more knowledge I have. So yeah, it's holding me back, but I think I'm just trying to have that balance of like, yeah, this is my job, but I could separate it from my personal life and still do what I want to do, but in a safe way. So
Because I think for me, like, even prior to getting like tested regularly and getting on prep and everything, like I still was like, I mean, I've always had a whole phase, but
right.
it still was like, damn, like I'm still terrified to catch something. Like, and I vividly remember when I was in high school, I had sex with this person, and I very much don't know my body. Like, I am like me and my body, we are one. Clearly.
Yeah.
And so I just remember I was talking to my friends, and it was like going into senior year, and I was like, something's not right. Like I feel like I have something, but I was terrified to get tested because I was still underage. Which means that I would have had to talk to my mom about it.
Yeah.
And my mom's a nurse.
Word.
Yeah.
Word.
We love Nikita. And so I just remember telling my friends about it, and I waited for probably a year and a half until I finally got tested. And like at that point, I was like, "Bitch, I think I have HIV." Like, when I say hypochondriac, to the max.
100%. Yeah.
And so I just remember like I was so depressed for that year and a half because I'm like, damn, like I'm not getting tested. I'm not telling anybody. I remember I was in a relationship at that time. I distanced myself from that. He ended up like breaking up with me. So I was like, I wasn't really talking to him. I wouldn't kiss him. Like nothing. We wouldn't have sex. Literally like nothing. He was like, I don't understand what's going on. And I'm like, I don't know how to tell you. I don't know what to tell you.
Right.
And so like till this day, like that still kind of sticks with me because I'm just like, I remember that feeling of when I thought that I would have had something, right? HIV, and I knew like at that time I was like, I remember when I finally got tested, I was like, if they give me those results, my car is going off of 820. As dramatic as that sounds, like I was so serious. So I'm like, I don't even know. Like at that point, I would have been a year and a half in. I would not have known how to navigate that or anything.
Exactly. Especially being that young too. Yeah.
I'm like, and then telling my mom. Whew, girl, and I'm the only, like, I was, like, the first boy in my family, like, first grandchild, like, just in, shit spreads in a minority household, you know?
For sure.
So, I'm like, whole family would have known by then, like, they just would have been, all of my mom's side of the family are, like, nurses.
Oh.
So,
I'm like, cool.
And my mom was constantly telling me, like, you need to be careful because there's people out here that do have it and that are still having sex unprotected and they just do not care because they're upset. And I'm like, yeah, Mom, I know.
Which is a good point that Nikita made. Wow.
Yeah.
She ate with that, by the way.
Oh, she really did. And I'm like, I need you not to eat. Like, let me be. But I'm like, I get it, you know? So, like, till this day, I'm still, like, very careful. Like, I get tested regularly after just about each of my sexual partners. Like, because I have had something before. And I just remember each feeling. I'm just like, I hate this. I don't like this.
Exactly.
And I'm terrified of needles. Like, that's the other thing. So,
which, by the way, he did a really good job when I stuck him with a needle.
I was like, I've got a little trick. I like inhale
and then
exhale. Yeah.
Was I heavy-handed?
Like you did good.
Well? Okay.
You did good. I'd say go see him, but then that's like kind of requires us to say where you work, and we're not going to do that.
And for legal purposes, y'all.
Yeah. No. I'm like, are we even able to talk about the background of a patient?
You know,
I consent.
Yeah. It's okay.
So it's just, I don't know, like for me it's still this day, like I preach, I can't say I practice, but I definitely preach, like, you know, wrap it up. And even like I went on out, like I was like, okay, like I'm gonna stop having sex because I was like, one, I needed emotions to be tied to it, and then two, just like I'm just terrified to catch something.
For sure. I think honing in on like the emotions attached to sex is very important because I think you go through a phase where it's all willy-nilly and you like, you know, could tap it up with anyone, but then you also get to a point where you're like, wait, sex is very sacred and my body is sacred and, you know, I need to learn to self-respect and appreciate my body and I don't want to, you know, do that with just about anyone else. So I think having that connection with someone is definitely an important, you know, topic to find out what he said, right? Right.
Yeah, because I was chasing the experiences. I was like, oh my god, I want to do it in a fucking park.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah,
Let's do it.
Yeah, like
Right.
I've never done it in a park. I
Yeah.
mean, you know, like I was chasing that, and I was like, okay, bitch, but like, what are you getting from this?
Right.
What? And then it was my friend. It was like, you know, as a mother, I'm telling you, like, you need to calm down because you know how you're feeling getting, you know, when you have to get tested and you're getting these results, you're feeling shitty and yada yada. And, you know, I'm very transparent with the podcast, and I've talked about like the STDs that I've had and how I felt and the depression that I've gone through with that. But for whatever reason, I just still got the gamble.
Yeah. I think like a part of it is definitely like the thrill of it. I think like trying to experience those experiences and you know, experience those like fun experiences. Like, yeah, I'm here for the thrill of it too, but it could be experienced in a safe way for sure.
Yeah.
It's good for you to be like transparent with that though. I think a lot of people are not really. I mean, sex is such a taboo topic. I mean, like, so much stigma surrounding it. So
much,
yeah.
Especially in the queer community.
Yeah.
And like that, you know, I have a platform to be able to do that.
Right. Use that platform.
Yeah, because I would hate for, like, I have siblings, I have little siblings. I would hate to hear my little sister like, oh, I had sex with this guy and I have something, or I'm pregnant, or, you know, and it's like, damn, like there's knowledge that I could have shared and everything. Like, yes, it's curable, but some STDs, if you take too long to get it checked, leads to other things, and fertility.
There you go.
Just so many other things, and that stuff isn't talked about. So,
and not to be more intimidating, but I mean, death.
Yeah, like syphilis, you take
that.
too long to get that cured. Now you have spots all over your body, and then if you say you touch the spot that is where it came from, and then you rub your eye, now you have syphilis in your eye. You can literally, like, it can lead to your heart, and now you stop, like, you're dead. So it's just like, one, if you take anything from this episode, get tested regularly. It doesn't have to be after every sexual partner, which is, you know, best, but get tested regularly. And if you're in the DFW area, there's so many free. Well, I don't know if there's so many.
There are so many resources that are there for a reason, right? So use that. And best practices, if you are sexually active, I tell this to all my clients. If you're sexually active, best practice is to come in every 3 or 4 months to get tested. That way you fill up the time period of how long HIV can infiltrate your system. It takes about 90 days from the exposure for HIV to infiltrate the system. So that's why we say come in every 3 or 4 months, so we can fill up that time period. In addition to that, some people are even asymptomatic too with STIs and HIV. So
So I didn't know that's why. Like, I was like, oh, I just gotta get tested every 3 months, but that now makes sense as to why I have to get tested every 3 months.
Which, by the way, there's a movie called 3 Months, and Troye Sivan is the main actor, and basically he has to wait 3 months to get tested to find out if he has HIV or not, and that brings in all the worry, the guilt, the shame, the stigma, all of that encompasses HIV and diagnosing that. So I definitely recommend watching that. That's a really good watch.
Definitely, I feel like I would cry watching it. Because I'm like, and there's just so much. So let me ask you this, because a lot of the clinics that I've been to don't test for herpes.
Okay, that is a really good question. So honestly, I think a lot of my some of my knowledge is pretty limited on that, just because we don't test for herpes. But from what my coworkers say, herpes is such a common STI, and that's why they don't test it. So like majority of the population can have herpes, but they might not have like active breakouts. So in some of the clinics here, especially in Tarrant County, they won't test you for herpes unless you have an active breakout. Right. But because herpes is just not, it's just so common of an STI that it's just not tested on the regular. I don't get it, right? Like I don't get it either. Yeah.
Because I noticed that, because I was like, okay, well, like I'm getting tested regularly, but I could not tell you if I'm like free of like the herp.
Yeah.
And not to put anyone's business out there, but I'll just say there are people out there that aren't taking treatment for it, and are not telling their sexual partners that they're having it. So,
which, by the way, the transmission for that, you could only get herpes if there's an active sore to an active sore. So let's say you're kissing someone and they have oral herpes. If they have an active sore in your mouth, or if they have an active sore in their mouth and you're kissing them and you have an active sore in your own mouth, higher chance of getting herpes because it's an active sore to an active sore.
And this is why we have him on here. Come on and educate us, okay?
And girl, this is what I do 40 hours a week. So.
Okay, look.
Check. Pays the bills, girl.
Period. I feel like there's still so many questions, but we're coming at time. So
yeah, but so far I think we covered the majority of what our topic was. I mean, I think I've enjoyed my time on the podcast. I'm glad that I made my way here finally.
Same.
It's been a long time coming, but I really hope you guys take this knowledge and advice to heart, because it's so important. So important. But thank you so much
for leaving us on anything.
I mentioned it before, but I don't know. Get tested.
Yeah. Get
tested, and even if you don't think you have something, get tested. Yeah, it's a simple procedure. And I know it probably is terrifying and a little bit intimidating going to the clinic and talking about that and being open about your sexual life. But I mean, I always say, if you could go down on a dick, then you can get a needle in your skin to get tested. Like, you have to sacrifice some things to do that shit.
That's another one that I'll write down.
So get tested and, get tested, but at the same time still be sexually liberated. You could be sexually liberated, but also play it in a safe way. So.
And just, obviously, like you said, it's going to be scary. Every time, I don't care if I haven't even had sex, I'm still like, damn, what if? It's going to be scary, but do it for you. Do it for your loved ones, because if you do have something that could potentially lead to death or, whatever it may lead to, I think you would want to know that beforehand, and so would your family. So, don't be selfish.
You owe it to them and your sexual partners.
I was just about to say that, and to your sexual partners, and to yourself, most importantly. So, if you're a tasty, you better be tasteful and get tested, okay?
I love that. I love that. I really love that.
But thank you so much for being here. It's an honor. I honestly think that there couldn't have been a better time to record this podcast, since now you have more knowledge and everything about it. So
I have the knowledge, but I feel like I am continuously learning, because there's so much that I still need to learn too. Because I do have to point out I'm only 9 months into the field, so it's still brand new. But I mean, within this 9 months, I've learned so much.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much for having me. I think I'm honored to be a part of this journey that Andre is experiencing. First, I do want to point out that I'm very proud of him for doing his thing, because it is hard to initiate this all by yourself and starting that. So I'm very proud of him, and I'm so proud to see where he is now and to where he's going to be in the future. So thank you for having me. What?
Wait, don't make me cry.
I don't want to make you cry, but I truly mean it from the bottom of my heart. Andre has been a really good friend of mine for the past 3 years, and we shared so many great experiences with each other, and I'm excited to share more the older that we get. So yeah, Tasties, right, is what you call them. So thank you for tuning in, Tasties. It was really nice talking to Andre, and hopefully you get you take a little bit from this podcast and take it to heart. So.
And definitely, like I said, I love the reviews. Make sure to leave it on Apple or Spotify or in the comment section, and let us know if you want more information. I'm more than happy to have Lucas back on, I'm sure.
And yes.
Come on now.
Have me again, please. Yes.
And as always, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and share this out, because I'm sure you know somebody that's having sex and probably not using your condom. So share the knowledge, share the wealth, and hit that subscribe button, babes. Love y'all, Tasties.
TTYL, Illy.
Bye.